During a meeting with Calabria's Business Confederation leaders, Albanian President Ilir Meta has invited Italian companies to increase the level of investment in Albania while discussing the need to focus on EU integration. Despite an additional 17% being allocated to the budget for the Ministry of Justice, the Deputy Justice Minister expressed concern that the required review of prison officers' salaries has not been taken into account. Minister of Energy and Infrastructure Damian Jignouri and the Kosovo Minister for Economic Development signed a joint agreement for increased cooperation in the field of water and sewage management. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Thursday the 8th of November 2018. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Alexandra and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. During his visit to Calabria, the President of the Republic, Ilir Meta, visited a business to meet with the leaders and members of the Calabria of Unindustria, a member of the Confindustria in Italy. Meta said that even today, after 27 years, Albania has failed to meet the aspirations of the European Union integration. Today, after nearly 27 years of democracy, the country has made progress in many directions, even though our aspirations and expectations to build a European Albania have not yet been met, said Ilir Meta. During the meeting, Italian entrepreneurs underlined the great interest in expanding their market to sell their products in Albania, for which they received a guarantee from the head of state. We do still have a lot of potential to increase trade volumes and attract more Italian private investors into sectors such as energy, tourism, infrastructure and manufacturing, agriculture, agro-tourism and financial services, said Ilir Meta. For 3 days, the head of state is in Calabria, where he has attended meetings with the Arbresh community there and with his counterpart, Sergio Mattarella. Albanian businesses will not pass into passive status if they have arrears against the state. The Finance and Economy Minister, Arben Ahmetaj, proposed amendments on tax procedures that would not allow a business with arrears to obtain another business identification number without having paid off debts to the state. We often see businesses fictitiously divide activities for the purpose of tax evasion. They do this by registering for a new business identification number and simply shifting their activity from one to the other, explained Arben Ahmetaj. The minister also argues that the introduction of VAT for audiovisual commercials will allow for better control, while the Commission's head also asked for the sale of books to be included in the VAT scheme. I think books are the biggest priority, said Erion Brace. Meanwhile, the head of the Commission, Erion Brace, asked for facilitation of agricultural inputs. The Commission also introduced proposals to supply facilities for the use of electric buses and LED lights, as well as for a concession for the textiles industry. The budget for the Ministry of Justice for 2019 is forecast at 12.4 billion lek, representing an increase of 17% when compared to last year. But in spite of this, the department, through the Deputy Minister Toni Gogu, demanded additional money for the salaries of prison officers, stating the fund of 177 million lek is insufficient for the 3,559 wardens. Our prison police officers need to have a financial reward worthy of the task they perform. We need to address the overcrowding we have through investments, as well as to ensure we can treat convicts with dignity, said Toni Gogu. In response to the request by the Ministry of Justice, the Socialist Party MP Bashkim Fino said that next year there will be an extra budget for justice. Meanwhile, another Socialist Party MP, Spartak Braho, expressed concern about security in prisons. In the context of wage growth, the prison police will also have a wage increase for 2019, said Bashkim Fino. We do not have the security in prisons at the required level, said Spartak Braho. 216 million lek has been allocated for compensation of property, despite the fact that after the Strasbourg decisions, the expropriation bill will be much higher. Although other institutions continued to report to the Commission, the meeting resumed without the presence of cameras. This was due to accusations by the chair of the Law Commission, Ulsi Manya, that the media were filming the screens of MPs' phones. The air and maritime surveillance systems will be in the Defence Ministry's list of priorities for 2019. While reporting to the National Security Commission, Defence Minister Olta Jachka stated that this will help to increase cooperation in prevention of narcotics trafficking. Taking into account the specific macroeconomic conditions and fiscal capacity, we also believe that there should be a more careful approach to the defence budget. This will enable us to meet the constitutional obligations and those arising from our participation in NATO, said Olta Jajka. According to Minister Jajka, the €50 million investment by NATO for the Kosovo military base will bring a positive impact in some aspects. Modernising the group of infantry battalions is one of the main commitments, as is the improvement of other capacities and basic equipment for armed forces. We also aim to modernise communication and information systems and the integrated observation of the aerospace. This is a project that has been continuing since 2017. The project represents a total investment of $22 million and spans 3 budget years. In addition to improving the integrated operation of marine spaces, we also see the investing of modernising the Kosovo base as a priority, explained Olta Jajka. Minister Jajka reminded MPs that by 2024, Albania has the obligation to increase the budget for the army by 2% of the gross domestic product. In the meantime, for 2019, the budget is set at 1.25% of the GDP. Albanians dug deep into their pockets this October as a result of prices for everyday groceries and rent on the rise. Instat data shows that food and non-alcoholic beverages have continued to rise at a higher rate when compared to other household expenses. Vegetables are about 11.5% more expensive when compared to this time last year, representing the highest increase of the food category, followed by oils and fats, as well as milk, cheese and eggs. The increase in vegetables in October is related to a reduction in domestic production and the increase of exports, and it is expected that the trend will continue over the coming months. Food, rent, fuel and electricity have all been affected by price increases, with the largest amount of household budgets being allocated to rent costs. The launch of the academic year in October also added to the demand for rental housing, thus impacted by increasing rental rates compared to September, but even to the same period the previous year. Despite this, price increases have been moderate, resulting in a decline in inflation to 1.9%, which represents the lowest level this year. The level of inflation is below the estimations by the Bank of Albania for the lowest interval, while the target expected to be achieved by 2020 is 3%. Good water management has brought together the Minister for Infrastructure and Energy, Damian Gjiknouri, and Kosovo's Economic Development Minister, Valdrin Luka. Through a joint agreement, they have decided to exchange experiences to cope with problems and increase efficiency. For this purpose, Ministers Gjiknouri and Luka signed an agreement expressing their commitment to share experience with the goal of better human resource management. In order to manage water properly, we need to have professional people who know how to do this and understand why it is so important. We, in Albania, have started an important reform in terms of managing drinking water. The first results were good. The collection of payments increased by €17 million when compared to the same period of last year, explained Gjiknouri. Meanwhile, Kosovo's Valdrin Luka emphasised that sharing experiences will have a positive effect on the management of water supply and the sewerage sector. Also present at this exhibition, the Mayor of Tirana, Erion Veliaj, promised solutions to the drinking water problems in the area of the new ring. We have started 2 important interventions for our city. The first is to double the capacity of the Bovila area, where we have already added a filtering process. We will install a direct line to some of the areas with a lot of new inhabitants of Tirana, starting from Shqiponia Square and reaching to the flour factory, also known as the area of the new ring. This is an area that has officially 7,000 inhabitants, but in reality there are more like 70,000, added Erion Veliaj. 2018 has seen the installation of 74,000 new water meters across the country, as well as 37,000 new contracts signed for the purpose of water supply. Obtain a degree in Albania and employment abroad. This is the motto that many young doctors are following since their diploma has been recognised by European countries. Of the 240 doctors who graduated this year, more than 100 have declared their desire to live and work abroad. They have requested a good practice certificate, which is a document that is required for the process of seeking employment abroad. Unfortunately, I do not know the golden solution as to how to curb this phenomenon, said Fatmir Brahimaj, the president of the Doctors' Order. border. According to Brahimaj, the conditions offered for exercising the profession abroad is the main reason why young doctors wish to leave. However, he added that there are also foreign doctors who come to work in Albania. 35 foreign doctors have been registered, mainly from neighbouring countries such as Italy, Greece, Macedonia, Turkey and Syria, added Brahimaj. The exodus of the white blouses from Albania has also forced the Health Ministry to take measures in an attempt to retain the talent. Minister Orgerta Manastirliu said such measures include increasing salaries, financial incentives and improving hospital conditions. The 2019 budget will see salaries increase by a further 7% for nursing staff. A total fund of 2.5 million lek will be provided for incentives on top of the traditional salary, and we have already decided how we will turn this into programs, explained Manastirliu. Every year, about 150 doctors leave Albania, with Germany being a particularly popular destination where 520 Albanian doctors are recorded as being officially employed. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.